Milo was no ordinary cat. He lived in a small town called Maplewood. Maplewood was known for its delicious maple syrup. Milo loved napping in sunbeams. He loved chasing butterflies, but most of all, he loved adventure. One day, something strange happened. Milo was chasing a particularly sparkly butterfly. The butterfly led him to an old, gnarled maple tree. As he brushed against the tree, a jolt of energy surged through him. The world around him seemed to shimmer. Milo shook his head, puzzled. Had the sun made him sleepy? He decided to ignore it and went back to his nap. Little did he know this was just the beginning of his adventures. The next morning, Milo woke up to a strange feeling. It was like a tingling in his paws. He stretched and yawned. As he did, a beam of sunlight hit his fur. Suddenly, the beam changed colour. It went from golden yellow to a bright, sparkling green. Milo jumped back in surprise. What was happening? He batted at the beam of light with his paw. It flickered and danced, changing colours with every touch. He could turn it red, blue, even a dazzling purple. This was no ordinary sunlight. Milo practiced controlling the light with his paws. He made it spin, jump, and even draw shapes on the wall. It was exhilarating. He had a secret, a power hidden within him. But what did it mean? And how could he use it? Life in Maplewood revolved around its famous maple syrup. Every morning, the sweet aroma filled the air. It came from the old sugar shack on the hill. But one day, the smell disappeared. The townsfolk were in an uproar. No syrup meant no pancakes, no joy. A shadow fell over Maplewood. Milo, hearing the worried whispers, felt a pang in his heart. He had to help. But how could a cat who played with light fix a syrup shortage? Unbeknownst to Milo, a pair of emerald green eyes watched him from the shadows. This was no friendly observer. This was Shadow, a sleek black cat with a mischievous glint in his eyes. Shadow had also felt the energy of the old maple tree, but unlike Milo, he revelled in chaos. Shadow saw Milo's growing powers with envy. He wanted to be the only one with the ability to manipulate the environment. Shadow decided to make things difficult for the unsuspecting Milo. He would turn this syrup crisis into a chance to claim power for himself. Section 5. A test of strength. Milo decided to investigate the syrup shortage. He followed the worried whispers to the old sugar shack. There, he found the source of the problem. The sap wasn't flowing from the maple trees. Without sap, there could be no syrup. Suddenly, a mocking laugh echoed through the clearing. "Looks like Maplewood has a problem, doesn't it?" hissed a voice. Shadow emerged from the bushes, his emerald eyes gleaming. "Who are you?" Milo asked, fur bristling. "I'm Shadow," he purred, "and I could fix this little problem, but it'll cost you." Section 6. The Windmill's Woe. "What do you mean?" Milo asked, wary of Shadow's tone. "The old windmill on the hill," Shadow began, his voice like silk. "It holds the key to restarting the sap flow, but it needs a little persuasion." Milo understood. Shadow wanted him to use his powers for mischief. Turn the windmill too fast and it could break, causing more problems for Maplewood. He refused. "I won't do it," Milo hissed. "I won't use my powers to hurt Maplewood." Shadow vanished with another mocking laugh, leaving Milo to find a solution on his own. Section 7. Facing the fear. Milo knew what he had to do. He raced towards the old windmill, fear gnawing at his belly. He had never used his powers on something so big before. What if he wasn't strong enough? What if he made things worse? He reached the windmill and paused, its giant blades looming over him. Taking a deep breath, Milo closed his eyes and focused. He imagined the sun's energy flowing through him, connecting him to the windmill. Section 8. Teamwork makes the dream work. He touched his nose to the windmill's base, sending a pulse of light into its gears. Nothing happened. He tried again, pushing harder. Still nothing. Milo felt despair creeping in. Maybe Shadow was right. Maybe he wasn't strong enough. Suddenly, he heard familiar meows behind him. The townsfolk had followed him, their faces etched with concern, and they were carrying buckets. Buckets filled with the town's remaining maple syrup. "We may not have much," said a kind old woman, her voice trembling, "but we're with you, Milo." Together, they poured the syrup onto the windmill's gears. The sweet liquid acted like a conduit, amplifying Milo's powers. Section 9. A Hero's Reward. Light exploded from Milo's paws. The windmill's blades began to turn, slowly at first, then faster and faster. The wind picked up, carrying the sweet scent of maple throughout the town. The sap began to flow again. The townsfolk cheered, their faces bright with relief and gratitude. Milo had saved the day, and he had learned the true meaning of his powers, to help others. From the shadows, Shadow watched. His emerald eyes narrowed. He had underestimated the small cat's courage and the town's unity. He slunk away, vowing to return another day, but for now Milo had won. Section 10. The Protector of Maplewood. News of Milo's bravery spread throughout Maplewood. He was no longer just an ordinary cat. He was Milo the Protector, the keeper of the light, the defender of Maplewood's sweetness. Milo continued to hone his powers, using them to help his friends and neighbors. He learned that true strength came from kindness and courage. And though Shadow might return, Milo would be ready, his heart filled with the warmth of 1,000 sunbeams, ready to protect his beloved Maplewood.